from the Ticats Audio Network, this is Morreale and Hitch.
All right. Good morning. It's an early morning. And welcome to the Morreale and Hitch podcast. Right now, it's the Morreale podcast because our friend Rob Hitchcock is incognito. And I've called him. I've sent him messages. This is a rarity, though. I'm actually very impressed, David, that you are up at this time of day. If anybody was going to sleep in, it was going to be you, and I would have been fine with it. I would have accepted that. But my good friend Rob, I don't know what he's doing, but he is not up. But we have a very special guest today. I didn't want that to stop us from getting to what we needed to do. So today's a good day. Ticats are in the playoffs again. I think the 9th year in a row under Coach Steinauer. There is a sight towards the Grey Cup now for sure. And, you know, the summer season's over. Football season's ramping up. Big playoff run ahead of us. And it's amazing how from the start of the season to now and the ups and downs, all that matters in the CFL is making the playoffs. So it's an exciting time to be a Ticat fan. It's an exciting time to be a football fan. And I'm hoping it's an exciting time to be a Morreale and Hitch podcast fan, even without Rob. It'd probably be more exciting, to be quite honest with you. We have a guy waiting here today. Rob's going to be so mad I'm doing this without him, but I can't keep this guy waiting. He's a busy man. And if you've followed the Ticats or the CFL for the last 25 to 30 years, this is a name that you're going to know. It's a face you're going to recognize. And if you're a Ticat fan, this is going to be a rarity on the Morreale and Hitch podcast. We don't get a lot of current athletes. I'll call him a current athlete. He's not quite. But when we reveal who this gentleman is, I think you'll understand that this is, most people are scared to come on this show if you're, if you're still playing or you're still around the organization, but not this guy. We're really excited to have the one and only head coach of the Hamilton Ticats, Orlondo Steinauer. Oh, welcome, my friend.
What's up, man?
Hey, listen.
This is awesome.
First of all, thank you for coming on the show. You'll notice I'm by myself because Rob slept in, I'm sure.
I know.
100%.
I already know. First of all, unless we're starting with a shot of Patron, we don't have a shot at this thing.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Nobody there to help him out of bed. That's the problem.
He can film from in there, from bed.
I thought so. You got your Timmies already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got the sponsor ready.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. When did you start drinking Tim Hortons coffee? When did you start drinking coffee?
Great. That's a great conversation starter. I start drinking coffee. I'm late. I'm like the 1% of the world. Like, I didn't even like the coffee bean aisle growing up. Like,
yeah,
it stunk. And then all this buzz. And then my grandpa used to drink it just black, right? Or, they'd come by at the restaurants, the little, greasy spoons.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, you want a top up? You want it warm? And I'm like, what? And I'd see him put a cube of sugar in there. And I go, let me try that. I'm like, oh my God. Tastes like tree bark. Like, that's terrible. And so anyways, that was my lasting impression of coffee is like, how do people like this? Sure. Maybe It makes you regular. Great. There's other ways to stay regular. And maybe it helps you be awake, but there's Red Bull and Monster.
Yep.
So anyways,
they all taste better.
They all taste better. And so then I watched my wife do it. And I go, that don't look like coffee. So I said, what is that? So I try it. I go, this isn't coffee. She said, what do you mean this is coffee? So then thus the double. And so then I hear people triple, these construction workers with the big gulp cup of coffee. So anyways, I finally learned that I think I like cream and sugar and a little bit of coffee.
You are the very first, I will call current Ticat to be on this show, right?
Awesome.
And this is like, I assume most people are likely scared. Rob and I don't run a traditional type show. It's certainly not planned. So whatever you hear to get is going to be right what else comes off the top of my head, just like the Tim Hortons Cup.
Just like this right now. Like I said, you ought to just record that
That's it. This is what we do.
David, hopefully that was recorded there, buddy. You can piece that.
Oh my God!
Hey!
Finally, okay. Listen to this excuse.
Hold on.
Please.
I just want to know if you've got the afternoon paper. If I could read that with you right now.
Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable.
Okay. What's the excuse?
There's no excuse except I'm a head coach for a U18 AA hockey team, and we had practice till 11:30. I can't believe I slept in till this late. Never in my life.
Look at your face, all swollen and puffy.
Sorry, boys. I don't get paid. I don't get the $65 for this show, so I'll donate that to the chicken fund.
Well, I just want to. Who's the sponsor that you're repping there? I'd rather see your bad hair before. If they paying our bills, if they're not paying our bills, then take the hat off.
Yeah.
This is performance.
We'll take it off. If they're not paying our bills or sending me any free gear,
look at that nice hair still, eh?
Look at that salad.
I like that. Let's get off the hair piece.
Move
on to another subject.
So
I used to have some good hair.
We always had some good hair. And before we get going, or the next 25 minutes before we get going on this, I have to tell you, and I think you know this, but I told my mother-in-law and Michelle, of course my wife Michelle, that you were coming on today. And my mother-in-law, as you probably don't remember, but she loves you. So they had, when 96, when I first came, I met Michelle in 96. So 97 was really the first year they started coming to football games. No clue. Mike, I can't hear you because your thing is done.
Go ahead.
Anyways, they didn't know anything about football, and they started coming to games, and then they started watching the games on TSN back then and CBC, and then they started learning a little bit more from Chris Schultz when he started going on, God rest him, on TSN, and they just started learning the game, and of course you were her favorite fan. He is gorgeous. She was, to this day, you're gorgeous. He's such a nice guy. I always get hugs from him. I'm like, yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I made an impression on somebody in Hamilton. That's great.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's cool. No, that's funny. We were 96 you met Michelle, but 97 would have been my first year. In Hamilton.
Yeah.
My best and worst year, got to meet you guys, and at the same time learn what it's like to overcome adversity. 2-16 is not very fun.
No. Yeah, and I think it goes back to that, and then learning how to, like, in 98 come in with, of course, the big three, right? We've got Coach Lancaster and, of course, Flutie and D-Mac. Like, when those three came in, we still had a good core of guys. And I don't think you remember, but I think we all remember this. We lost a lot of games, by 3 points, 6 points, 1 point. I think there was a total, 8 games of 21 points we lost total.
Yeah.
And, it's just goes to one of those things, adversity. We had an identity, we created a great culture, and just bringing those three guys in, I think for us was just, it wasn't just three. I mean, there was a handful of players that came with them, of course, but we only remember the first three because we got to the Grey Cup, and we got there because of hard work and Coach Lancaster letting the guys police the room, and it was just real special. And that's one of the questions I had for you is the new style of coaching, I would say, because with Don Southern and Cal Murphy, all those guys back in the day were all old school guys. We didn't have water at training camp at some point because it would make us tougher if we didn't have water at training camp in 95. Oh, it was horrible. But for what you've learned, like you and O'Shea, Dinwiddie, all the players now, I love seeing the fact that there's all guys that have played and are Hall of Fame guys that are coaching. It's just what style, the style you guys bring in. Did you learn that from a bit of both? Don Matthews, and explain a little bit if you can.
Yeah, I think it's, this probably have to be a few segments. Yeah. I'll try to streamline it, but absolutely. I think you're a product of everybody that you're influenced by. Even when Sudsy was the head coach, and we were terrible on offense and whatnot. I just learned a lot. First of all, from Lancaster. Sure, he brought in the big three, and we had some holdovers, but he wasn't afraid to make changes. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I can remember this. I remember they used to drive us the Niagara Airbus That was the thing that picked everybody up when we were at Brock. And I remember, the one thing I quickly learned about Lancaster is, first of all, anything he deemed important, he did himself, i.e., breakfast check. There was no intern. He did it. Remember the long walk? Yeah. He's down there. I don't know why he thought that this hid the cigarette, but that doesn't hide it. But nobody said anything to him, but we all thought it. Like, what are you hiding? And then, he'd whisper to some people, go ahead and get breakfast. That'll be it. And we're, oh, boy. Then you pause halfway down, like you got something to do. But he did that. He did the scout cards, if you guys remember. Mm-hmm. He did conditioning. And I quickly realized that things that were important to him, he didn't delegate. And I thought that's always stuck with me to this day. So things that I think are super important. So I'm at breakfast. In training camp, I'm meeting all the players. I sit in there. That way, I can learn their name. They can see me every day, and that's important. I'm not afraid to run the scout team. I'll run the GoPro. I'll do those types of things. I go out in conditioning. I don't stay the whole time, but I do go out there. So I do think that there's that. And then let me just go back to the Niagara Airbus story. I remember Bert Thornton led us in receptions in 97. Great guy from Purdue. You guys, number 4, might remember. He was really good. We thought, man, you mix him in with this. And I remember Lancaster saying, where's Bert? They said, oh, he got a heat cramp. Heat cramp? After we got out of meetings, Bert was like this. On the Niagara Airbus. I said, Lancaster ain't playing. No. Boy, what you mean heat cramp? Oh, he didn't have any time for that kind of stuff.
No.
I remember him stopping practice. We had a hot route or something. He was telling the quarterback, you throw that throw, and if he can't get open, we'll find somebody who can. Mm-hmm. And that's just what it grew up. And what I quickly learned, I'll make my point quickly here, you can't do that today. It just doesn't work. No. And there's no judgment on that. It's just you quickly realize that. And I don't blame the people that we get at this point. It's what they are accustomed to along the journey. Yeah. And it's a different thing. I think Campbell, when he came and talked to us, said it best. He said, I could give you a lot of things to say, but you guys might have been in this huddle when we were talking. He said, we used to just drink beer and hang out. And now you guys, I don't know, you freaking drink smoothies and get massages. And I think that sums it up. And that's just the thing. So you got to learn how to have that mixture of be who you are, be authentic, but also be current, innovative, and creative, and stay with the times.
Yeah, well said. That's, you've proven it, buddy. You've proven it. We've watched it. We've watched it for a lot of years, and we were sad to see you when you went back to Fresno, but we were happy when you came. Fresno, right? You went to Fresno?
Yeah, Fresno State,
and then when you came back, we heard you were coming back. We're like, this is going to be awesome for the team, exactly what they need. But yeah, we're so happy for you. We're proud of you.
Appreciate it.
It's when I talk to people like, you know him? It's like, he played with me.
You don't know? When I was doing that, he was over there. I got
no shoulders left. Oh man!
Damn cowboy collars didn't work after all.
Can you guys hear me or no?
No, not really, Mike.
Can you guys hear me?
No, you sound like you're in a hole. I can't hear you very well.
I'm working on things. Keep talking.
Don't worry, I'll keep going. Just to keep on the subject of pads. Oh my gosh, do you remember the size of yours or my shoulder pads anyway? But the pads that you guys wore, I don't know how corners and DBs wore those things, but like I couldn't touch my fingers for sure. It is impossible. But how do we get so many picks with those pads?
What's the saying? They don't make them like they used to.
Man.
Right now you'd get people going in HR saying they're trying to hurt me. They're trying to put me in stuff that's not not relevant today's time. We used to laugh at Ozzy's pads. Now they're the norm. That's what
D linemen are wearing those things. D linemen are wearing those things.
Yeah, and they have. I don't even know. They don't even cover the knees anymore.
Oh no. But we when Mike and I had the opportunity to go to the stadium a bunch of years ago and go through the locker room and to see some of the technology in the helmets now, I'm like, oh my gosh! Like I don't know if I could play. Well, of course I could play the game with that stuff, but those helmets are they're unbelievable. I used to put a little piece of pad here because there was always a spot with the bike helmets. They had the ear pad, and then there was an opening here. So I always thought every time I hit somebody, I felt this like go through my temple. So I made Pusky get me these the sponge things for your hands, and I put them in there and I taped them all in. So my helmet had all like these gadgets inside, and I couldn't. That's what the helmets look like now. They're all perfectly molded to your head. Like, imagine we had those things. Oh, be crushing people even more.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy now. You just spent more time probably on the fine list and answering letters from the commissioner. Yeah. If like the hit on Tyree Davis, it probably got you kicked out of the league.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But he
brought it on himself. He brought the broom out, and it was funny. Like I say, hunting's fun until the rabbit has the gun, and then it's no fun. So that's what happened. He had all the pregame antics, and then all of a sudden his right arm was stuck at 90 degrees.
Yeah.
That's a tough living. As we said, get the gator.
Yeah, get the gator. And he was still, when he came back at the end of the year, that was the funny thing. He came back at the end of the year, he was still beaking off in Montreal when we played him in the playoffs. He was still beaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next year, remember? He comes to our team the next year. Yeah. And no, I don't think you remember because, were you with us when he came? Yeah,
no, I wasn't with us. I was gone.
Yeah, that's right. So the next year, you're like this story. He comes in, and we had a couple of characters. I forget who it was. They did a stick person, and they taped it in his locker with his elbow, with his arm sticking straight up in the air like he was knocked out cold. Just to remember that. And he came
How did
in,
he take that? Was he over it by then?
Wow, I don't think you could be.
It's a tough room, man. You know that. It's a tough room.
It's a tough room.
Man.
It's a tough room.
So speaking of tough room, now that I got a few minutes while I got my mic.
Whatever.
Get
2%.
So I was excited. I've known you for a long time, 25 years plus.
Yep.
And I went to the first Tiger Town meeting this year. Rob, you weren't there, of course, because God knows you had something else to do. But you spoke about your life growing up, and I heard things come out of your mouth I'd never heard before, and it was kind of your journey. It was really impressive here. I don't want you to I don't expect you to rehash it, but it's amazing when people come here, right? When our teammates come, we adopt each other and we live together like that. That's what we've done, and we did that very, very well, which obviously accounted for what we were doing on the field. But you sometimes forget what it took to get there because everybody has their own journey. But your journey was long and it wasn't easy, and football has kind of been your life, right? And I think you were talking about your grandparents and growing up and all this. Is it what drives you? Like what? Because being a head coach ain't easy. There's no way it's easy.
Yeah.
There's no way it's easy, right? Because you got a 50-50 chance you're going to be happy or you're not going to be in a good mood, right? And the week's going to suck. So what has that journey been like? And are you in the place you've always thought you'd be?
Yeah, no, those are awesome questions, and that's probably a 6 beer conversation.
Yes.
I would say that everybody else saw me in this seat before me. When I came to join you guys after, the Ottawa Rough Riders folded, I didn't know. I only played special teams there, and I ended up in the expansion draft. I don't know what I was taking, 12th or 13th. And fortunately, Joe Moss got to see me in Ottawa, and he came in 97. And I just wanted to make plays. I just remember Sudsy. There was like 18 DBs. They just traded for Gerald Vaughn. E. Carter was back. So I'm like, oh, damn. Then they brought Will Height. I'm like, well, looks like, I'm just in training camp. And I just remember Sudsy, all he said, and we brought everybody up at Brock, was if you make plays, you'll be here. Break it up. So then I broke it up, and I'm like, holy cow, there's freaking 20 DBs. And, a couple of picks later and whatever, Greek came up to me and he goes, Greek. Yeah.
Shark bite.
Yeah. Oh, boy. That's for another thing. He goes, yep, Sudsy, you better move to the other side. Because I was just lined up behind Eric. I don't know who Eric was. Anyways, so the rest was history there. So I guess where being a student of the game came, guys, is just I never ran as fast or jumped as high as anybody, right? I was always a 4.5 DB. I was 5'10". I mean, I was strong. I wasn't scared. I was instinctive. I had my strengths, but I always had to learn to cover the 4.3, 4.4 guys, and that was with angles. And so that kind of made me I had to study harder than others. And, you know, back when we played, there was no specialty. It was left and right.
No.
You could be a pressed boundary half and boundary corner, and if it flipped hashes, all of a sudden you better learn how to play off. So you might be playing Pitts 1 minute, Danielson the next. Mm-hmm. And so now it's specialized. You're covering the same people all the time. So, you know, I began at the end. So when it came to coaching, I didn't want to put my family through that again. They just kind of sacrificed for 12 years. And it's like, I didn't want to do a series of 1-year contracts again. You know, you're week to week in this business.
Yeah.
And so I was ready to work in the Wheelwood. I was going to go work for Cintas. You know, Campbell kind of got me hooked up. It was a 5-interview process. It wasn't like I knew somebody, I got the job. I mean, I really had to go through the process. And they kind of created a job for me. I accepted on a Friday. Jim Barker called me on a Saturday. I interviewed on Sunday, talked with Gina, and she just looked at me. She goes, "You're a coach." Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I was grateful to her for, you know, allowing me to do this again. And so I think everybody else saw it before me. And then what's the foundation of it? Yeah. My grandfather, my single mom, you know, like I said, I'm an only child. I got no stepbrothers, no stepsisters. My mom was never married. She's got a grade 10 education. And, you know, she really gave me everything that I had, as I always say, and that was love. That was really it. Because I woke up to an empty house, came home to an empty house. And my grandparents filled the void on the phone, and they were always there supporting me. But my mom was always driving me. She was Uber before Uber was invented. And, you know, all our parents that rip and run us. You guys played hockey growing up. The ice time's the ice time, you know. Yeah. And somebody's got to take you there. Yeah. So, long story short, without them, you know, it's not possible. Everybody has those mentors along the way. So they were instrumental for me. And, you know, in fact, one other tidbit nobody really knows is, you know, I was living with other families as of grade 10 of high school. So I've kind of been, you know, since whatever age that is, 16, you know, so, but they were awesome and helped mold me into the hardworking. And I think the ending part is, you know, what drives me. It's as crazy as it sounds, it's the truth. I just always looked at you know, I always had the mindset just to be the best version of myself I could, and not as a cliche, not as a slogan, just I was always challenging myself because I knew somebody was always going to replace me. And with that being said, I truly loved it when you and I would battle in one-on-ones in camp, but then you do the DB in the game the same way, like bop, bop, bop. You know, like when I talked with Hitch and he says in 4x1, we're going to run box. So I'm going to be over the top, jump that. And so when you guys became all pro and did those things, that really is what gets me going. That's why I do what I do. When Osh was all pro, when Kevin Ivan became all pro, when Jordan Younger, Cliff Ivory, like I had led the league in tackles at free safety. I led the league in picks. I've been an all-star. I've done those type of things. And at that point, it was like, if I don't raise the water level of everybody else, you know, I won't know how good we can be as a team. So you say what motivates me? I have 2 teams. I have the staff, the personnel, equipment, therapy. I want them to be the best version of themselves. That's my team off the field. And then I have the team on the field, and I want them to be the best. That's why I get up in the morning.
Well said, man.
Awesome.
That's yeah, that's good. That's real good, buddy. I
heard that. Like I heard that.
I didn't know that journey.
This is my thing.
I knew
right?
of it, but I didn't know it.
You know
like
people.
That. That's,
you live with people. You work with people. Like you know them. Like you know what's good. You know what's bad, and they vice versa. But you don't really get. It's funny. Like you know, you just don't get. So when I heard the story, the long and short of it is.
Yep.
Steiny, you're such a great guy, and you've always been the same. Like I there's no different Steiny. Steiny that's you, right? And that's what I love most. You're just a genuine person. And Hitch and I, we've spoken about this on the show, and this goes for everybody that Hitch mentioned in the beginning. Osh and the rest, Kahari and all those guys. We just knew you guys would be amazing coaches. You know why? Because you knew everything that everyone was doing on the field.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you knew.
Yeah.
So, like, you just were a student of the game. They say, what's a student of the game? It's somebody who dives into it and lives, breathes, and understands the game. And most students of the game, in my opinion, like the people I've mentioned, including yourselves, are likely the ones that maybe don't even need to be students of the game. But they love it so much that that's what drives them. And that, combined with the natural ability, creates superstars, Hall of Famers. You're a Hall of Famer for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And that's why.
I appreciate that.
So what's up for today? This one, okay, 9 years coaching in the CFL and nine straight playoff. What do you call it? You made the playoffs.
Appearances,
Thank you. Still early. So that's that. I'm not sure there's any other team in the East that can say that. Is there?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm sure Montreal had a great run there in the early 2000s. I'm sure they're in that neighborhood. But, it's funny when those type of things get brought up, you don't realize it. It's just, man, like you just, it's like us. It's like we were never, when we won those Grey Cup, or we won the Grey Cup and we were back-to-back, I think our best record might have been 13-5 or something like that, maybe 12-6 one year. And when you really think about it, that means you're losing a third of your games. Mm-hmm. But we were dominant. Yep. If you really, like, internally, we were dominant. Like, we might have slipped up, but there was never any never's too strong, but very rarely was there anything internal. It might be like, hey, pick your stuff up a little bit, or we need to practice harder or whatever. Or Sudsy would do it for us. Yeah. That's the other thing. There was high accountability there. But when we lost, it was just like, okay, all right, let's shake it off, and we just keep moving. And so I guess that's kind of the same thing when you all of a sudden, when I look back, it's like, okay, yeah, that's expected. But actually it's not, because there's 3 teams every year that have what we call the glad bags.
Yep.
And you don't want the glad bag at the end of the regular season. You don't want it at all. But if you don't have a chance, everybody's putting in the same time. Coaches, therapists, trainers, players. And to not have an opportunity to be etched in history is a jagged pill to swallow. And, fortunately for us, that didn't happen. And it hasn't happened, since I've been in this coaching realm here in Hamilton either. Yeah.
So you got three games left, right? You got 3. You got Saskatchewan, BC, and Montreal.
Correct.
So you guys start Saturday night in Saskatchewan, so Mike's gone.
Yeah.
And so I guess not even a question, but there's a shot for the home playoff game, of course.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 pretty tough teams. I know Saskatchewan is. Are they in the playoffs, or are they still fighting with? Because I haven't looked at the West too much in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't think they've exactly clinched, because I think there's a threat of Ottawa could still mathematically cross over. I think Calgary can still make the playoffs. And so I think some of that's being formulated, but I think they're in a favorable spot to get one. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, so, just on that note, we've got a lot of fans, out in Niagara here, a lot of my buddies that watch it. A lot of them came down to it's just one of those things. They always ask me, right? They're always like, so are they going to get a home playoff game? Or, are they going to get to the Grey Cup? It's like, guys, Jesus, it's one game at a time. They got to go win it. They went out. They got a great opportunity to play a home game.
That's right.
But at the same time, quarterback wise, we've talked about it with so many different people, and what we feel like. Mike and I talk about, every single week we have a little segment on you guys. We just talk for a few minutes on, hey, the defense isn't gelling that week, or the offense wasn't scoring points, or special teams wasn't 2 out of the 3 phases winning games. And so we talk about all those things, and
nice,
and having, of course, we don't want to get into it, but your quarterback, you signed a great quarterback this year. He gets hurt, and you gotta it's one of those things you got to move on from it. And again, I'm talking from the beginning of the year. So you move on from it. Then Schultz gets hurt, and I'm not that we're not answering any questions here. Just kind of going on what happened this year. And then you get Powell in, and you know what? It took him a few games, and I tell you, Mike and I talk about it. The guy can play, and he's there for a reason, right? Because he can play the game, and you're hoping that he could go in and do it. Now is you don't have to say anything if you don't want, but is Mitchell have an opportunity to come back? He looks like he's moving okay. Is it something? Again, don't even worry about answering if you don't have to. But quarterback wise, I think we're still good, and no one's throwing the towel in for you guys, because that's the way it was, 6-7 weeks ago. Oh my God, they're not going to make the playoffs. So what's your take? And
yeah, no, it's fair. I mean, the one thing, do I think Bo has an opportunity to come back this year? Absolutely. Yeah. I do. And that's because I can see what's going on internally. There's just that, for example, it'd be like a high ankle sprain. He's going to come back, but everybody responds different. Sure, you can do a cortisone shot or you can do this, but, everybody responds different, and every position group is different, right? So a high ankle sprain for a D lineman is going to be different than a receiver. It's going to be different than a DB. So that's why it's just not like this, there's the scientific timeline. There's a healing process that has to go through, and that's been met. And now it's, there's got to be confidence. There's got to be reps. But you guys know there's only so many reps to go around in practice. So for every rep you give Bo, and he's not going to play that week, you're taking away from the guy who's going to play. Yeah. And that's just the hand we're dealt. But, dealing with 3 quote-unquote healthy quarterbacks is a lot better than not having any. And that's not to throw a slight at Pipkin or Glass or the other guys that graciously stepped in and knew they weren't going to be a long-term solution for us. We're grateful that they came in. But, they kind of knew when we got healthy, we'd be moving on in a different direction. So, I do think Bo will be back at some point. Matt is almost a miracle story. Yeah. A career, you thought maybe his career, let alone the season, and then all of a sudden he's walking around in a brace, a hip brace, if you can picture that. It looked like a damn dog girdle or something. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I go, that can't be right. That thing there looked like a harness. And all of a sudden he's, I feel pretty good. And the doctors are shaking their head, and it's almost like, those miracle stories that you hear, when people are sick. It's like low percentage, but he happened to be that 1%, 2%. Yeah. And so he's out there. So these are great options to have. And Taylor's unbelievable. Yep. There's very few quarterbacks that play early and play well. Yep. And they just don't, and, there's very few rookies that do that. I think Tyreek McAllister is another guy that's come on the scene and the game hasn't been too big for him. And he's played early and played well. But, that quarterback position, you guys know, having been in meet, especially for you being in those huddles, Hitch and I were always scheming to get to him and change things up. And, boy, I think the thing, if you just take a day in the life, like it's hard when, you get smoked back there. And then you got to get up, and you got receivers saying I was open. You got the head coach in your headset saying that the play clock's running down. You got the OC telling you things. You're trying to call the protection. People just think it's drop back and throw. Go back and hand off. And you can say, that's what they get paid for. Totally, duly noted. But you still have to do it. Yep. And then you got to get up again. And then you say, why didn't you scramble? Well, he couldn't see straight. And there's just so many things that go into it. And then you add a guy who's grown up playing 11-man football, and you add the 12th guy, and all of a sudden there's 4 off a side here, 4 off a side there, and watch for this. Oh, the middle's always closed, by the way. The free safety's always in the middle. Can't say enough great things is where I'm going, fellas, about Taylor. It is not easy, and it's easy to critique. There's experienced quarterbacks that stink.
Oh, yeah.
Stink it up at games, and they get a pass for some reason. And then all of a sudden when a rookie, it's like, oh, he can't do it. No, hold on a minute. So hats off to Taylor Powell for helping us get in this situation. And he may not be done. Yeah. Right? No. It's just sometimes it's time to pass the baton, have a squint from the side for a second. he may be the guy to lead us to the Grey Cup. You don't know. We don't. I think we have 3 great options, and Loxley's done a fantastic job in our short yardage package. We were very below average last year, and now we rank amongst the top. People don't realize how big of a role that really plays. 3rd and 1 isn't a given. Oh, they're a yard off the ball. No. It's not. No. And that we can show you the stats to prove it, that it's not a given. So we love our quarterback room.
Well, awesome. you should. I look at that. What Powell's done, and I look at, how does he carry himself, right? I don't really judge whether he can throw the ball, run the ball, which he does very well. How does he carry himself in those difficult situations? I'm so impressed. Like, from what I can see, I don't think I've ever seen him hang his head, sulk, be negative. You're closer to it, but wow, it's sometimes as a coach, or a GM or both, when you look back and say, you can actually look at this as a positive and say, wow, this guy's getting reps that he likely never would have gotten for 3 years, maybe more. And we've seen something in him rather quickly that this guy could be the guy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want the season necessarily to do this. You don't want to lose your number 1 guy, lose your number 2 guy, have a third come in. But in hindsight, we've gone through that when we played. And the drop-off from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 was enormous, right? And in certain situations. So to see you be able to battle and fight and the team rally together, what was the feeling like when you clinched the other day with a victory? What was that like?
Yeah, wow. It's really tough to describe. It's something that you have to feel, and I know that does nothing for the listeners and everybody out there, but I think the biggest thing is it's truly an organizational thing, like these therapists ride the wave too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The owners ride the wave too. The city, you guys do. The players, yes. I mean, the locker room was ecstatic, if you could picture it. I walk in there. I'm usually the last one in because I like to let everybody get in the locker room, or most everyone. And they've got the music going and whatever the latest dance, whatever they're making up. And that's all the hard work. That's the waiting room, what everybody would refer to as the practice roster, players doing their part. Mm-hmm. It's the coaches, the equipment people, seeing Drew high five and be happy, seeing the personnel department, breathe like we're going to get a crack at a championship, because that's everybody's goal. And it's not a given. And it has nothing to do with how Hamilton did in free agency and how this and how that. Man, this football team found a way we had a punter and a kicker leave.
Wow.
I mean, we can keep going. And and we didn't flinch. Yeah. We didn't flinch. We just
adversity, man. Love
period.
it.
And you keep going, and you can talk about it or you can be about it. And was it easy? No, but it's not just next man up. Like, we're talking about our kicker, who was the best in the league. You're talking about a punter, where there's different timing and snaps, and it's just not that easy. And we didn't sign up for easy, and that's cool. And we're a no excuse, positive mindset group. Internally, nothing's ever 100%, but we're trying to be 99.9 as much as we can. So as you can tell, everybody was excited, ecstatic, and ready for the next challenge. And we got a huge challenge this week going into Sask. Their crowd is ridiculous. They have tons to play for. But you know what? I like our guys. I like how we're built. But talk is fun. The lead up is fun. Yep. There's this thing that you have to do. It's called play the game.
Yeah, and it's Thanksgiving weekend, so bring home a win and have some nice turkey on the weekend, and everything's going to be perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be. Well, you know what? A perfect example. You guys lived it. You would know it a little bit, or if Hitch, you would know this a little bit better. But you remember Calgary talking all week in the Grey Cup '99. And I was kind of waiting to see, I wasn't, I was vocal internally, but I wasn't the guy to go tell the media they can go, fly a kite. Yep. Yeah. That wasn't mine. We had players that had that role on our team, and I was watching them, and, you get the newspaper at your door. back then.
Yep.
You get your newspaper at your door at the hotel, and you take a little squint through the articles, and nobody's saying nothing.
Crazy.
I'm like, oh, but we never huddled up and said, keep your mouth shut.
No.
We didn't do anything, and it just kind of happened. And I remember Tony Ankins caught this huge deep ball in practice, and in the dome there. And I don't know why I have this vivid memory, and there's no way you guys will remember, but I saw an authentic joy from everybody. The defense even said, great catch. Everybody was high-fiving. I was like, there's something special going on here. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Tig's infamous pregame talk. That's what I loved about Lancaster. He knew his lane. Calvin, get him going. And he'd fix the bill on his hat and make it perfect. Calvin, get him going. Oh. And he's just like, all week, he was fired up. All week they've been talking.
And it didn't Cummins jump in at the end to try and add some at the end.
Yeah. We were already heading out the door. Yeah. And then, guys, we got you, Jeff. Just snap the bulb. Anyways, Jeff had his role, though, too,
That's right.
And, and then they introduced the defense that day, and the offense was okay with it.
Yep.
And that was how it was built. And, well, hell, before you could get a can of beer open, it was 21-0.
Yeah.
If you went to the bathroom, you missed a lot of good stuff, and that's the makings of a great team there.
Yeah. It's just saying 12, 13 years we play in this league, and on some great teams and some not so good teams, but I could tell you that the not so good teams had the same camaraderie, the same players. You still battle together, but that 99 team, again, people ask that as well. It's like you just can't explain it, the room, how dynamic that room was. With the way we were with each other. Like I tell some of my guys, my U18 hockey team, I said, you guys don't have to hang out with each other off the ice. But when you get into this change room, you guys are family and you better hold each other accountable. Yeah. And I learned that, of course, you learn that from playing the game like we did for so long. But that room from 98, 99, guys, and we don't have to go on to it, but it's just, it's hard to explain because of the different roles each person actually played on defense and offense, and everyone it's just so smooth. It went so smooth. And yeah, of course we won the Grey Cup, but I don't think anyone told us at training camp in 99, it was unsaid. Danny Mac walked in and it was just, we have unfinished business. Unfinished business.
Right? Yeah? The video of the field goal going through, the NFL films type thing. Yeah. Turned it off. And that was it. We went to practice, first day of training camp, and never looked back. That was it. It was the mindset. Done.
And he knew, and what's cool, he knew, and Sudsy knew, good luck to the rookies and to the new people. There'll be a half dozen of you that'll make it.
Yep.
Other than that, we got our squad.
It's crazy.
Credit to Joe Hagan and, some of the draft picks and, Ronald Williams coming in. Yep. And, there was going to be a little bit of innovation. But other than that, and I think when you talk about it is what the cool thing is, I can see you making a tackle on punt team. Hitch is running down on kickoff. I'm running down. There was no special teams players. Sure, we had our Pronics and our Fleisers, right. But if you said starter, you're up. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's it. There was no you're a starter on special teams.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're starting. that's what you're starting on. Oh, and you'll play defense and offense well. Not just play. You'll play well, and we'll play inspired, not tired ball. If you were wondering.
And we don't. The bench is shortened. We don't have as many guys. And. But the one thing, man, we can go on forever. We're going to run out of time. You got a team to coach. But we always talk about family here. I know that you have built your family within the walls of your organization, and it goes from, front office on down. Ronnie built it so quietly. When you're telling the Ronnie stories, I'm like, oh my God, that makes a lot of sense. Like I didn't pick up on some of those things where it was very important that Ron ran this, right? Yeah. Rundown. He was doing rundown. No one else was doing rundown. That meant something to him. Yeah. He always joke, we'd say our Father before the games, and Ronnie would come right beside me, just where our lockers were set up, hold my hand, reek at butts. He'd reek the cigarettes while I'd have it all over my hands and gloves for the game. But absolutely, he had his things, and man, it's these are good days. Now, please just do one thing for Rob and I. It's not a very tall task, okay?
Let's do it.
Can we get a Grey Cup because we're tired of being the last guys. I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah.
99's a long time ago. So we got your back. Put it that way.
Yeah.
We got your back.
No, I appreciate it. That's the goal. That's the goal. 100% every time, every year, for sure. Go ahead, Rob.
And we do tell all of our guests, we tell all of our guests every week that, and not that you need to because you get everything free anyway, but just walk into the Ticats store and take whatever you want. It's on us. Don't worry.
Once you're on the show, not a problem. If not, say it's on Matty Affleck.
We told Cheatwood. We told Cheatwood this, and I think he might have went in there and started grabbing things. We're like,
and I'll bet you Denise just hit the red button.
Yeah.
Oh, we got one.
Yeah.
We got one. She's been here longer.
It had to have happened. We've told 10 people, just go right in the Roar store. Matt won't care. Just go in and take whatever you want. Oh my God. I hope that they're not doing it.
Oh. Hey, before we go, Steiny, before we go,
sure.
We see a lot of guys come and go, and it's been great the last couple of years, more than the last couple of years, to have guys like Rob and Danny and Darren go up on the wall, and it's been like a reunion for us. I know you're playing. You never get the chance to get into exactly what we're doing, but somebody came back a few weeks ago for Flute's induction. When I saw this guy, I was blown away. When Eric Carter was there, I was like, what? And he said, no, I wanted to be here. I heard Darren was going up, and I needed to be here. I'm like, man, I hadn't seen EC in so long. You mentioned him earlier on. Stuff like that. Like when Archie shows up here one day.
Oh, the house will fall down.
I'm waiting for that day.
Me too.
I am waiting
It's making
for that
the hair on my arm stand up.
I'm not joking. I got goosebumps because to me,
Yeah.
like here's a guy who grew up way different than me in San Diego and did way different things than me in the off season and he's like an absolute brother to me. I love him.
Yes.
And I love all the guys. But you know what? There's certain guys, and you have your guys on your side of the ball, and I had them on my side of the ball, and collectively we had them both. But that to me is the best memories over anything. Hey, EC, there you go, buddy.
E. Carter.
Yeah.
They call me Shut Him Down.
What?
He can still play. Look at him. He's still jacked.
Hey, when he showed up, I let him speak to the guys.
Oh,
and
I told
him.
him.
I said, now I don't know what's going to happen here, but E, you got the floor.
Oh boy.
He was outstanding.
Was he smooth? He must have been just smooth too.
He was smooth. He's in a different spot in life. He kind of told people how he got where he was at, and he, obviously talked about Sudsy and everything else. And I won't go into the whole diatribe, but he was E. Carter. Put it like that. Beautiful 11 on kickoff.
Yeah.
Everybody used to call L1, Joe, 2, 3, 11. Beautiful 11.
What jersey number did he wear? What number?
You know exactly what he wore.
2 of these.
Okay, that's how we're going to finish this show. I think, Steiny, you've done an amazing job. We're very proud of you, my friend. I know you got a lot more work to do. Best of luck to you and the team and the coaches. We're going to be cheering you on. Thanks for being on the Morreale and Hitch podcast. It's amazing we actually have a podcast and get through it on a regular basis. But on behalf of myself and Rob and Coach O and Butko, who I can't even believe Butko got up. This is a rare feat.
I felt like him today. Look, same hair.
Yes. Yeah. Look at that. It's
good.
Look
nice lampshade.
Lampshade tilted. Who knows what happened last night?
We don't.
Oh, he's got a lint roller. He's got a lint roller. Move over. What's the lint roller for?
That's awesome.
And look at this little keyboard. I said, you need to make us theme music for this show.
Yes. What's wrong with you? Come on.
Come on.
Hold
Butko.
on. Go the other way, Butko. I think I saw a smoke alarm.
I told you.
I thought I saw a smoke alarm there behind the neck.
We had this conversation on a previous show. I'm like, why is there a smoke alarm on your nightstand?
It's hot.
It's hot.
It's because of the prees before he goes out.
He's in the basement, eh? He's in the basement.
I know why. He's smoking darts in there. He didn't want the alarm to go off. That's what happened.
And there's some foam padding there too. I don't know. I don't want to muffle the screams. Anyways, with that, we will go, everybody. From everybody here, Morreale and Hitch podcast.
Right. Love you guys, man. Have a great one.
That's another episode of Morreale and Hitch on the Ticats Audio Network. Have a question or a comment for them? Email us at manh@ticats.ca. That's MANDH@ticats.ca.